Hey, Slaycation Squad. Welcome back to the channel where every tale is a spine-chilling journey into the unknown. I'm your host from the Abyss. And tonight, we're diving deep into the shadows of horror. But before we embark on this hair-raising adventure, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a scream. Seriously, you won't want to miss what we have in store for you tonight. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding as Tristan and Nick sat in their grandfather's study, surrounded by dusty books and aged artifacts. The flickering candle on the desk danced with hidden shadows, casting an eerie glow on their faces. They had just finished reading an old journal that spoke of the legend and the consequences their family had faced for their ancestors' greedy actions. Their eyes met in a moment of silent understanding. A myriad of emotions swirled within them: fear, guilt, but also determination. They knew that they had to put aside their differences and face this ancient evil together. With renewed resolve, Tristan cleared his throat and spoke, his voice laced with determination. "Nick, I know we've had our differences, but we can't let this legend consume us. We have to be strong, not just for ourselves, but for our family's legacy," he said, his eyes glinting with a newfound fire. Nick nodded, his jaw set firmly. "You're right, Tristan. For too long, we've allowed our disagreements to drive us apart. But now, we have a chance to make things right, to mend our fractured bond and protect what is rightfully ours." The two brothers stood up, their resolve sending tremors through the room. They would need help. And there was only one person they could turn to: Mr. Garvey, their grandfather's friend who seemed to hold the key to unraveling the mystery behind the legend. Leaving the study, they stepped out into the crisp, moonlit night. The stars twinkled above, as if offering their silent guidance. The brothers walked toward Mr. Garvey's weather-beaten cottage, shadows of doubt and fear trailing behind them. They found Mr. Garvey sitting on a creaking wooden porch, surrounded by artifacts and books, much like their grandfather's study. He looked up, his eyes filled with a mix of anticipation and concern. "I've been waiting for you," he said, his voice carrying an underlying wisdom. Tristan and Nick exchanged a glance, realizing that Mr. Garvey had known all along that they would seek his guidance. They sat down near him, their minds brimming with questions. "Mr. Garvey," Tristan began, his voice trembling slightly, "we need your help. This legend, it's haunting us and tearing our family apart. How can we put an end to it?" Mr. Garvey leaned forward, his eyes filled with empathy. "The legend is tied to a sacred site, a place of power where the wrongs of the past can be rectified. But reaching it won't be easy. You'll face unimaginable challenges, and your bonds as brothers will be tested to the limit." Nick's hands clenched involuntarily, his face marked by determination. "We're willing to do whatever it takes, Mr. Garvey," Tell us where this sacred site is, and we'll do whatever we can to reach it. Mr. Garvey nodded, his face etched with a mixture of pride and caution. The sacred site lies deep within the heart of the property, hidden by nature's fierce embrace. It demands bravery, perseverance, and a willingness to confront your darkest fears. Only then can you hope to pacify the legend and restore peace to the land. Tristan and Nick exchanged a glance, silently acknowledging the grave task that lay ahead. Their bond as brothers would be tested like never before. But they knew that they had to stay united if they wanted to survive. With a final nod of reassurance from Mr. Garvey, they rose from the porch, determination coursing through their veins. The moon shone brightly overhead, casting a guiding light upon their path. As they prepared to set off into the depths of the property, a sense of urgency surged within them. They would face unimaginable challenges and confront their deepest fears. But they were resolute, for in that moment, they knew that their journey towards redemption and the restoration of their family's legacy had just begun. As the moon loomed high in the darkened sky, Tristan and Nick found themselves deep in the heart of their family's history. With flashlights in hand, they huddled together in the study of their grandfather's old house, surrounded by dusty books and faded photographs. The room was filled with a sense of anticipation and unease as they prepared to uncover the dark truth that lay hidden. Tristan's hands trembled slightly as he carefully opened an aged leather-bound journal. The pages creaked under his touch, as if reluctant to reveal the secrets held within. He flicked through the weathered pages, his eyes darting across the handwritten words that told a tale of deception and greed. Nick, his face pale beneath the dim glow of the flashlight, leaned closer to read over his brother's shoulder. Whispers of the past seemed to echo through the room as they immersed themselves in their ancestors' lives. The journal belonged to their great-grandfather, Henry, a man of great ambition and cunning. His entries spoke of a hidden treasure buried deep within the family's property. A treasure that had driven him to commit unspeakable acts in order to claim it for his own. He was consumed by greed, Nick murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. He would stop at nothing to possess this treasure, even if it meant sacrificing everything and everyone he loved. Tristan's eyes widened with a mix of horror and fascination. So, this treasure it's connected to the legend, isn't it? The legend that's plaguing us now? Nick nodded, his brows furrowed in deep contemplation. It seems that way. Our great-grandfather's actions awakened something dark, something that wasn't meant to be disturbed. As they delved deeper into the journal, they discovered that the legend had foretold the consequences of their ancestors' actions. It spoke of a powerful spirit that would rise from the land, seeking retribution for the desecration of its sacred grounds. They learned that the legend was passed down from generation to generation as a warning, a plea to respect the land and its ancient guardians. Their hearts grew heavy with guilt and sorrow as they realized that their family's history was entwined with the suffering and chaos they were now facing. They realized that they were not just victims of an ancient curse, but carriers of a burden they had unknowingly inherited. "We have to make things right," Tristan said, determination lacing his words. "We have to undo the wrongs of our ancestors and put an end to this curse." Nick nodded, his features haunted and determined all at once. "We owe it to our family, to our grandfather's legacy, and to the land itself. We can't let this cycle of greed and destruction continue." With a renewed sense of purpose, the brothers set out to plan their next steps. They knew that it wouldn't be easy, that they would face unimaginable dangers along the way. But they were fueled by the knowledge that their actions could finally bring peace to their family's legacy and the land they had inherited. As they closed the journal, a gust of wind outside rattled the old house. As if acknowledging their resolve, they exchanged a determined glance, the weight of their family's history now firmly on their shoulders. They had a plan. They had each other. And with that, they were ready to confront the truth, whatever it may be. The moon hung high in the darkened Australian outback, casting an eerie glow upon the desolate landscape. Tristan, Nick, and their friends, Anya and BJ, stood at the edge of a treacherous canyon, their hearts pounding in their chests. Time was slipping through their fingers like grains of sand, and they knew they had to act swiftly. The wind whispered eerily through the gnarled branches of the ancient gum trees, adding to the air of anticipation that hung heavy around them. As the group ventured deeper into the unforgiving terrain, the jagged rocks seemed to shift beneath their feet, as if the land itself resented their presence. Their cheeks flushed with unease, yet their determination burned bright as they battled against the encroaching darkness. With each step, their footsteps echoed through the barren expanse, a haunting reminder of the danger that lurked unseen. An unearthly silence settled over the group, the stillness broken only by the occasional rustle of dry leaves and the distant cries of nocturnal creatures. Tristan, his senses on high alert, examined the map clutched tightly in his hand. It appeared to be accurate, guiding them further down a twisting path that wound deeper into the heart of the outback. His brow furrowed with worry as he realized the yawning chasm that awaited them just beyond the next turn. Nick, his eyes shadowed with determination, reached out to steady Anya, who teetered precariously on the edge of the canyon. The perilous drop below seemed to call out with a malevolent whisper, tempting them to venture no further. But their familial duty pushed them forward, overriding their fear and propelling them into this race against time. As they descended deeper into the depths of the canyon, the temperature plummeted, cutting through their clothes like icy fingers. The air grew heavier, pregnant with a sense of foreboding. Nick shivered, not just from the cold, but from the palpable presence that seemed to lurk within the very craggy walls that surrounded them. Suddenly, a bone-chilling gust of wind swept through the canyon, extinguishing their flickering lanterns and plunging the group into inky darkness. Panic clenched their hearts, their breath hitching as they fumbled for their torches, desperate to find their bearings in the pitch-black abyss. With shaky hands, Tristan managed to rekindle the light, revealing the sheer drop that awaited them just a few feet ahead. The canyon yawned open, an abyss that seemed to stretch infinitely downward, as if beckoning them into a bottomless pit of despair. They could hear the hushed whispers of their ancestors echoing through the void, urging them to push forward. Their resolve was tested as the ground beneath them trembled, a warning tremor that seemed to originate from deep within the bowels of the canyon. Fissures spiderwebbed across the rocky terrain, threatening to swallow them whole. Death was a mere breath away, yet their determination surged like a wildfire within them. Step by treacherous step, they navigated the treacherous path carved into the canyon walls, clinging desperately to the cold rock as it bit into their hands. The thin ledge threatened to crumble beneath their weight. Their muscles strained in an effort to maintain their balance. Fear danced in their eyes, yet their unwavering determination pushed them forward. And then, as if by some divine intervention, they reached a narrow plateau perched precariously on the edge of the chasm. This sacred site, hidden within the depths of the Outback, held the key to pacifying the ancient legend that plagued their family. It was here, in this fragile sanctuary, that they would confront the truth and confront the legend once and for all. As they gathered around the sacred site, a hush fell over them, the weight of centuries of secrets settling upon their shoulders. The air crackled with energy, the spirits of their ancestors silently urging them to accomplish what had long been left undone. In their eyes, they carried the hopes and dreams of those who came before them, and the burden of reconciliation weighed heavy in their hearts. With a trembling hand, Tristan reached into his pocket and withdrew a worn and weathered artifact, passed down through generations. It glinted softly in the dim light, imbued with the ancient power of their ancestors. A sense of purpose settled within him, the weight of responsibility swirling around him in a kaleidoscope of emotions. Speaking words that echoed with both trepidation and determination, he held the artifact aloft, offering it as a peace offering to the legend that had tormented their family for centuries. The air crackled with anticipation, as if the very fabric of reality held its breath, waiting for the legend's response. And then, as if on cue, the ground beneath them quaked, the walls of the canyon trembling in response to Tristan's plea. A rumbling crescendo rose from deep within the bowels of the Outback, shaking them to their very core. The legend, with a final roar, was appeased. Its power diminished as the curse that plagued their family finally released its grasping hold. The winds quieted, the darkness lifting like a weight. The canyon, once menacing and foreboding, was now bathed in a soft glow, transforming into a haven of peace and tranquility. The legend had been pacified, their ancestors finally finding solace in the release of their torment. As Tristan, Nick, Anya, and BJ stood side by side. They gazed out into the transformed Outback, their hearts filled with a newfound sense of unity. A chapter of their family's history had ended, but another had just begun. The bond of their shared experiences would forever unite them, reminding them of the power of forgiveness, resilience, and the enduring strength of family ties. Chapter 8. Race against time had tested their mettle, pushed them to their limits, and brought them face to face with their deepest fears. But it had also forged an unbreakable bond, a bond that would guide them as they walked the path of their ancestors and protected the legacy they now held in their hands.